Hey, my name is Brent here on Cloudy with the Chance of Meeples. Welcome to Ideas, a time where we sit down with publishers, illustrators, designers in this lovely board gaming hobby and find out how they got their ideas from just being ideas to the games that we love to play. And today we have a publisher, and his name is Zev Shlasinger. How's it going, Zev?
Good, good. How about you, man?
I am doing good. I'm doing good. We
Excellent.
have had a break in the cold weather here in central Canada, and
Nice.
snow is starting to melt. And so life is good, even outside
Spring
that.
is coming.
Spring is coming. Even outside that, life is good. But we're here to talk about games. You've been in this hobby many years.
Yeah.
Somewhere I read online, like 30 ish.
I would say so if you count, my time demoing collectible card games and stuff. So I would say, yeah, 30 years. Wow.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to age you. Um,
That's fine.
I'm hitting 40 this year. So I'm like a
I
spring
remember
chicken,
40.
supposedly. But let's go back a few years. Let's start about gaming. Let's talk about gaming before you were into publishing. What did gaming look like for you growing up? How did you get into this hobby that we share? What's kind of your origin story per se?
I started very young. I mean, I played, the classic stuff, Monopoly, Life, Careers. Careers was one of my favorites. Then I learned Stratego,
Hmm,
fell in love with that. And then from there, I would say graduated to Risk and then Axis and Allies.
hmm.
So that was that. Did some Dungeons and Dragons, of course, when I was younger. Uh, you know, we'd be in a campaign that I wouldn't play for years, and then I would jump in again, then I wouldn't play for years. In college, I got into Starfleet Battles,
Okay.
which I loved also. That was great. That was a lot of fun. So I guess I was a gamer, but not complete. Like it wasn't like I didn't have a group, a steady
Hmm,
group, and we kept playing. I got into the Avalon Hill stuff, and
okay.
I played by mail, believe it or
Wow.
not email, by mail. I played games like War and Peace, which was a big Avalon Hill game, with Prussians and
Oh,
Napoleon, I think, and stuff like that. So,
mhm.
where you would write your orders, put it in the mail, then wait for orders to come back. It was kind of
Wow.
crazy. Yeah, it was nuts. And I remember advertising in the General, which was the Avalon Hill magazine for face-to-face players,
Okay.
and I would get some players that way. Uh, did play a lot of Axis and Allies. I used to play online. I was part of AOL had sponsored or
Mm,
had a channel or something. I don't remember where you could play Axis and Allies. You can judge games and play games. You would email your judge your orders. The judge would roll the dice and tell you the results to everybody, and we would adjust the board. So I remember having like two boards out on in my living room where I was playing two games and then I was judging the game. Uh, so yeah, a lot of that, and then really on and off until probably collectible card games came along.
okay.
You
Like
know,
magic.
got got bit with Magic. And that actually made me go to conventions. I
Okay.
wasn't really going to conventions at the time. I didn't know many of them. I knew there was a Creation Comic convention, which I went to once or twice, and some sci-fi conventions here and there. But then I started going to game conventions, and that's
Mm,
when I started seeing, a little more stuff here. But I played a lot of CCGs. I demonstrated a lot of CCGs for publishers, and they sent me, they sent me to shows. We got comp rooms and things like
mhm.
that, and product, which was the fun part. The
Right.
best part was getting the product, so we would have that to share to trade not only
Mm,
for other cards there, but for other card games.
right.
So it was good. I was part of a group that did that, and we did that for a couple of years.
Hmm.
So that's what got me into I guess full time ish gaming
Mhm.
was the collectible card games.
You know what? I hear that a lot. So, I've been doing a handful of these ideas interviews, and so many have said like Magic the Gathering got them into the hobby, or D&D got them into the hobby. And it makes me wonder, 20 years from now, talking to designers, will they still have the same story, or will they be saying games like Ticket to Ride got me into the hobby,
I think
Carcassonne?
so.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah. I've talked to people. Catan got people into
Catan,
the
yeah,
hobby. Pandemic got people into the hobby. Ticket to Ride got people into the hobby. I think you'll get more of that than the role play. Definitely more than the CCG because
mm,
that's now. While there are CCGs out there, it's definitely not what it was back
it's
then
not
with
as novel.
and everything. Yeah, now you're either into it or not. I mean, yeah, you could do it. You got Pokemon and Magic and a couple others, but there aren't that many that you can get into. And then usually when you get into it, you stay with that for a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll get lucky and or you'll you'll find time to do other
Mm,
things more, and then either wean away from the CCGs into the board games, or somewhat do both.
mm,
But normally, I would say other board games is what is getting you into the hobby of
mm.
board games.
Yeah. You mentioned the game Pandemic, which we'll speak on momentarily. Before we speak on your time with Z-Man and getting into, publishing and that, what are you playing these days besides from like the games that you're publishing? Like you recently, we're just in we're at Gamma. What what was kind of like catching your eye, that you were like, hey, that's really cool, or a game that you recently played that wasn't one of your own titles that you're publishing? What
Most of the time, so I have to make a concerted effort to play a published game. I'm always either demoing my games or I'm taking pitches. I'm playing games that people are pitching to me to consider for publication, and that is the bulk of my time.
mm,
It's very rare and hard for me to just sit down and play published games, but I force myself when I go to various shows to just sure I'll try whatever. We were at I was at a local show just in beginning of February.
okay.
Uh, Show a half hour for me. It's been getting more unpopular, which is great. They get about 150,
Mm,
200 or so people. It's amazing. It's awesome. And really, yeah, I walk around and they're like, "Hey, you want to try this?" I'm like, "Sure, let's do it."
mm,
And so that's where I got to play First Flight
okay.
there. Um, Again, I showed off a bunch of my games, so that was the bulk of other stuff. I'm trying to remember. I played one of First Flight was the only one I remember, although I know I
Okay.
played one other. But yeah, I really have to make an effort to say, don't let me, open myself up and to play something else. But it's usually if someone catches me, right? I'm walking around usually because usually when I'm walking around, people are already in the middle of games. So
Right. Yeah.
because I don't come with a group,
Hmm.
right? So I don't have a schedule. It's not like, hey, we're going to be doing this. It's more like, I guess I go with hat in hand. Can I join your game? Can I join your game?
Right.
It's one of those things where I just get lucky, and then of course I see friends and stuff, and they go, hey, let's get together and do something.
Hmm.
So sometimes in the bigger shows I'll be able to get more published games under my belt. So
Mm,
nothing that I'm, playing consistently. Just again, if I get lucky,
right.
I'll play something that's already out there.
Okay. So I already alluded to it. Pandemic. You started Z-Man Games 25-ish years ago.
Yeah, just about maybe 25, 26 years ago. Actually, 1999 we formed, but the
Okay.
first published game came out in 2000.
Okay. So I want to pick your brain, and I'm just curious how how that went for you when you were pitched Pandemic, whether it was called Pandemic or whatever it was. Do you remember that? Do you remember how it was, like, quite a novel idea? And I will say, uh, I think Shadows over Camelot was a cooperative game before Pandemic,
Yes.
and so Pandemic is, like, to me, the spearhead of that genre, right? Like that broke new ground.
Yeah.
What was that like?
So. I mean, so we're talking. Remember, it was pitched to me in 2007. So
Okay.
I've already been doing publishing for 7 years. Brought a lot of cool original games there. Brought a lot of games from foreign partners into English. Uh,
Hmm.
so so when pandemic came, I was established and getting more established. Just prior to that year, I had done Duel in the Dark, Prophecy, 1960, Making of the President. That's just so a few of the things I did. I think in 2007. Um, so pandemic was pitched to me in 2007. But what's interesting is, so I either met or I talked with Matt Leacock, the
Hmm.
designer. He had self-published a couple of games, and those were the first things he sent me. And I think actually the only one I got to try was a game called, I want to say, Lunatic Loop.
Okay.
It was a car going around the track thing, but you can shoot other cars. So it had the Car Wars Death Race 2000 thing,
Okay.
which I love. I love the idea of it. But I played that, didn't work for me. But then we were going to meet at a show called The Gathering of Friends.
Okay.
So what's
Alan Armour.
interesting is, a couple hundred people, good business, good networking. Um, he showed me another game. I don't think we talked about Pandemic yet. Uh, the thing is, it was we met on the last day. I was actually going to leave for the airport in a little while. We just got to finish the game. I actually even had to leave before scoring took place. Someone had to
Hmm.
either finish my last turn and or do the scoring for me because I had to rush out to catch the thing. That game wasn't for me, but he told me, hey, he had another game, and he told me briefly about it, and I said, send me the prototype, and I'll test it. Um, so I think I got the prototype very soon after the show, and as luck would have it, I was having a meeting with a group that I had back then where we would play test about once a month, I think, and we
Okay.
would do 10, 12, 15 hours of playtesting. I mean, we'd
Hmm.
bust through a whole bunch of things. It was great.
Hmm.
I was able to bring Pandemic to it. So we played that. And I remember when the first Epidemic card, when that came up, and then we had to draw that first city card to see where
Right.
the new Epidemic was. Pretty much everyone got out of their chairs to to like anticipate, oh man, where is this going to hit?
Hmm.
And when I saw that reaction, I was like, I'm doing this game. That's a great game. I've not seen a reaction like that. Um, and yeah, just to fast forward a tiny bit, yeah, a lot of people, as you said, so a lot of people tried to talk me out of it because they were like, Seth, there's no cooperative games out there. Da, da, da. The only one was Shadows over Camelot. But two things with Shadows, it was a 2 hour game, so
Hmm.
much different. So here's Pandemic that's cooperative and can be done in 30, 40 minutes, 20 to 40,
Yeah.
depending on the setup. The other thing is there was no trader mechanic in Pandemic. It was you all win, you all lose.
Yeah.
So I thought, no, this is great. It doesn't impact Shadows if anything. But people were still very wary that this is not the type of game that would do well in the marketplace. But lo and behold, I said I'm going to try it anyway. I was doing at the time, but this was 2008. I don't know how many games I came out with that year, but probably in the 20s.
Okay.
I was doing 20. I think at the top of my career, I did like 34 games in one year. But I think I was consistently in the 20s
Okay.
back then. So I said, hey, to me, it was worth a risk. I was at a level where I could afford a risk. I didn't do 10,000 games initially. I did my
Hmm.
normal print run of 3,000 copies, I think.
Okay.
So I figured, all right, I'd be able to move some of it at least, and if it doesn't sell all of it, I probably won't lose money. Maybe I won't make money, but
Hmm.
I think within 3 weeks or so. So here, what's interesting, I played it in, I think, May 2007, and it released end of January, beginning of February in 2008. So
Oh,
I fast tracked that. It was like, boom, we didn't have to do any development. It was great as is. Hired an artist, graphic designer. We popped it out really quick.
you did no development on that. So Matt like absolutely had
It was
an
Yeah, it was out
absolute
of the park.
smash
I
hit.
don't We didn't make one change. Not that I no, maybe there might have been some graphic tweak. I mean, obviously from his prototype, we had
Right.
to change, but maybe we changed some graphical element to the. But in terms of gameplay, no, to me it was ready. It was perfect as is, which was
That's
great. I guess that helped also make it go faster to produce it. But I had a great graphic designer that I was already using. I used a new artist for this one who did the cover and did the map. So yeah, it all came together very quickly.
was that quick? Was that Chris? Chris.
No, this was before him, although I don't know when he did Road Rage Rally. This was um, Josh Capel
Okay. Okay. He's from Kid Table Board Gaming.
from the Burnt Island
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Yep, he
Hmm.
he was my graphic desiginer. If you look at the Z-Man collection, he did a lot of my games. Actually, I think he did the original Endeavor for us.
Okay.
Yeah, he did a bunch of our games. So
Hmm.
he was definitely my go-to guy uh, to do stuff, to do it quickly, and do it well. So that was we did Wasabi together, which actually I think he co-designed with a friend.
Hmm.
So that was cool. Wasabi was great. But yeah, so I used them, and again, it all came together very, very quickly.
Wow. So let's talk about kind of what you're doing nowadays. Probably not releasing 30 games a
No,
year.
no.
You started Play to Z, um, a new publishing company, I guess. Was that last year?
Yeah, we announced in actually I think 2003 we announced
Okay.
like October 2003. So yeah, we're a year and 5 months into the company's existence.
So how do you now decide which game you want to make an investment in?
Uh,
Because like the market is so dare I say flooded. You may say
yeah,
so.
there, there.
Like um, I don't know. There's a lot of games. Well, I'm just gonna say that.
Yes.
And so, how do you decide you were, back then 20 a year? Not, I don't think many publishers now could handle 20 releases a year. Am I wrong in that?
Rare, yeah, it would be
Rarely.
mostly the bigger. I don't know if there was a single. There might be a few single publishers who do something like that. I mean, look, I worked for WizKids before I started Play to Z. I did that for 7 years. We were doing
Right.
about 20, 22 games a year uh, during my tenure
Okay.
there. So it was happening, but yes, it's not a common thing.
Right.
Um, and it's definitely not my philosophy now. We're trying to do, and it's funny, I tell people I'm trying to do no more than 10 or so. And even then people are going, "Oh my God, that's a lot." I'm like, "Oh, really?" So I have to restrain myself to do that little. I'm so used to go, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's do a bunch of things." But yeah, it's harder. There's definitely way, way more games out there. Also, the industry is bigger, right? Way more players than when I first started, and so on and so forth. So there's good and bad, but I think proportionally, it's still probably we're on the glut side. Like 4,000 new games a year. Yeah, how do you choose? I mean, the only thing I
Mm,
could say is what I think is worth selling, which is my philosophy, has always been my philosophy, Z-Man and WizKids. What I think is really, really good, really needs to be out there, and hopefully that I'm right. But yeah, it is harder because how do I rise above all those other releases? So I'm trying my best, trying to get good designers, trying to get really good designs, trying to get good art, just
hmm.
and then get it out there and demo. Go to
Right.
shows and show off the games.
Hmm.
Do some crowdfunding here and there. I don't do as much, but we do about two a year.
Okay.
I think we're trying to get to four, but I think this year we're probably two. Maybe we'll be able to squeeze in the third one. I'm not sure, but maybe next year we'll try to increase it. But that gets you up there a little bit. That
Hmm.
gets that gets eyes on the game, but it's a marketing tool
Great.
as well, with a potential good return on investment for doing it. But yeah, it's a hard thing, man. It's really, really tough.
And I'm not saying that in a way of like of discouragement. I'm just genuinely curious, right? Because
Yeah,
back when you started Z-Man, like you said, there weren't as many games, so you could probably, if I'm wrong, you could probably throw a whole bunch of things at the wall and see what sticks. But now, fast forward 2025, with so many publishers out there, and the quality of the games, dare I say, is that much better. I would I feel, right? We're in the golden age, and maybe we're actually maybe coming out of that golden age of gaming from a few years back where it wasn't as many games coming out, but we're kind of still in that. And so the competition is fierce. It must be, and you
yeah,
must feel it as a publisher. And
I
so
do. I do.
you must have to be looking for those games that gave you that pandemic epidemic card flip, like what's going to happen, like we're at that time and place and time. And so have you had any like moments or like aha moments
I would say one of them is actually
recently?
23 Knives,
Okay.
which crowdfunded. The end of that game, when, just quick, it's a historical game.
Yeah,
Caesar,
share.
you're either trying to kill him, you're not. We call it a social manipulation game. It's not really deduction. You have an allegiance, but you can sway people to your side, or you can be swayed to their side. So
Okay.
there's constant shifting allegiances as to whether you want to kill Caesar or not. But the main thing is you're also controlling the fate of Caesar because you're throwing either knives or doves as his fate cards into the curia, just an area where we store the cards. It's a Roman thing, but we call it the curia. But that's where the fate cards are stored. But at the end of the game, we have to reveal those cards and we have to count the cards. And if there are 23 or more knives, and doves subtract from knives. So when we say 23 knives, we're saying, yes, the value, there's 23 knives after subtracting
Okay.
doves. If there are 23 or more knives, Caesar dies. If there are less, he lives. So that revelation,
Mm,
taking the deck of cards that's there, depending on the player count, there could be 25 to 45 or so cards. You're flipping them one at a time. People have been doing that lean in moment
right.
or getting out of the seat moment. So that was a game that recently had that pandemic feel for the that moment, that visceral, amazing reaction
Mm,
that is also like a story you could tell. You go, oh my god, I didn't know there were so many knives or so many doves there, and oh, I like totally misjudged. I mean, you get so many emotions
mm.
that happen for it. So yeah, when I saw that game, I was again, yeah, I got to do this game. And
Okay.
of course, there were other great things, right? The historical thing, going to 8 players, plays at about an hour, 75 minutes. I love the shifting allegiances, which I've really not seen kind of thing. So there were other factors to it, but uh, uh, that was the big one that said, yeah, I'm gonna move forward with this one.
So when is that coming out? I believe that was a Kickstarter last year.
It
And
was
so
a
when
last year. Yep, it's on the water. I'm hoping to start shipping it to backers by the end of this month, and then it should be in stores mid-April, assuming all goes well.
okay, right on. So let's talk about what's after that. I saw that at Gamma you were kind of showcasing Animal Rescue Team,
Yep, very, very
which
excited about that.
which is kind of, I don't want to steal your thunder. I'll let you share it, but in partnership with Shut Up and Sit Down, and it's Matt Leacock once again.
Yeah, yeah, we're teaming up again after pandemic. So yeah, we're here doing a cooperative game about rescuing animals. I call
Hmm.
it a board game plus five
Okay.
because there's so many cool things about it. The Bat Leacock cooperative game, you're rescuing animals, which is a very relatable theme and a theme people would enjoy and immediately resonates. It's the first in our Shut Up and Sit Down Presents line. So
Okay.
we made a deal with Shut Up and Sit Down where we are going to showcase games that they really love, whether it's an older game or a newer game, just something that hits them right, and they're going to talk about it and market it. And Animal Rescue Team is the first one there. Second game in that line is Dogs of War, which is a reprint or reboot of a previous game.
Okay.
but also Animal Rescue Team has some cool vehicles in the game
Hmm.
that you move around because you have to put the animals, which are going to be represented most likely by wood. You put them in the vehicles,
Okay.
and then you drive them to the shelters, unload them in the shelters, and then later they'll find homes with that. So yeah, just so many. And the co-designer is also a real life animal rescue expert.
Oh, cool. Wow.
So a lot of the rescue there are her stories or her colleague stories.
Hmm.
So yeah, just taking all that together, that's a really big aha type game for us
Hmm.
that should rise above the other games that are out there. So I think we're very very excited about that one.
Two things. On that. Would it be like a pick up and deliver cooperative if you're taking the animals and bringing somewhere?
No, because
Semi-ish?
I wouldn't call it pick up and deliver in that, yeah, you are going to deliver to a shelter, but it's not like, uh, I guess, because it's not like goods where it's like, you buy the goods here that these people make and they're demanded over here, so you want to go
Right.
over here and sell them. It's just more of a natural thing where there are rescue cards that depict where animals need to be rescued on the map. There's areas. There's the difficulty level, and then you get bonuses to your die roll to meet the difficulty number by you can modify the dice by bringing in what's ever on the card. Sometimes it'll tell you what if any particular specialists are involved, if any
Okay.
particular vehicles are involved, or any particular equipment are involved. Uh, they help modify the die roll to make the rescue much easier
Easier.
than if you just went by yourself. You also have to make sure you bring enough vehicles to get all the animals. So they're considered rescue that not only that you met the difficulty number, you actually have the space to put them in. But the thing is, I mean, you're not required to deliver them to the
Okay.
shelter. The
Hmm.
reason you would do that is to free up the vehicles to
Get
rescue
more?
more animals.
Okay.
But technically, if you can end the game with some of the animals still in the vehicles, as long as you meet you have to do 3 missions
Okay.
while doing all these rescues that keep popping up. So if you could do all that and the 3 missions when time before time runs out, you've won the game. Um, so that's why not
Okay.
completely pick up and deliver. You have action points. You have like 3 actions on a turn, not points. You have 3 actions you can do in your turn, and they usually either move or rescue. Each vehicle has a movement rate. So for one
Hmm.
action, you can move a vehicle up to its top speed. Um, and of course, you just want to bring, other specialists. So there are 6 specialists. You play one. Every player plays one, but all 6 are always in the game.
Oh, okay.
So you get to use them also. They come with you because again, you'll need them most likely to mitigate the die roll. The die roll to help with the rescue. But there are some rescues that if you are the specialist that it wants, or at least one of them, there'll be like some special coloring in the icon. You get an extra bonus. So normally you get +1, but if you are the specialist that's required on that rescue, and you're doing the roll, you get a +2. So another +1 there. And
Hmm.
there are tokens you can get. Some tokens will give you +1 the rolls, re-rolls. Some allow you to buy equipment. There's, I think, 9 pieces of equipment in the game. I believe one to each specialist and maybe 3 more. Yeah, I think there are 9 in the game.
Okay.
Like an animal crate, food, an extraction tool, a rope gear, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
So the rescue will say, "Hey, there are 3 chickens, stranded in a lake. You got to rescue them. So you want to get the swift water specialist. You want to get some rope. You want to get this thing here, and then meet the difficulty. So they got 6 vehicles. We have a truck, a trailer, which can be hitched to a truck, or the SUV. So you can bring a trailer, and actually the trailer is the only thing that can hold the larger animals, like a
Okay.
horse. So there are 3 sizes of animals, like the chickens, small cats, small dogs. Then you have medium size, cows, pigs, calves, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe cow might also be a large. Sorry, calves and stuff like that. And then large animals is the like the cow and the horse. So you need the trailer for that. There's a motorcycle, which is cool. There's one slot for a person, and on the back you can bring another person or an equipment. No, sorry, not an equipment. Another person or a small. You can rescue a small animal, but of course it's the fastest vehicle, right? It can move
Right.
4 spaces, kind of thing. But it's very cool. And there's a boat also which can be hitched. But if it's going on water, then it can go by itself. But you could tow it across land to bring it to water
Water. Yeah.
to do this. So it's just a cool kind of thing to do with playing with the vehicles here and getting them to what you need. There are event cards. There's logistic cards. So I'd like to say it's probably on the level of Pandemic
Okay.
in terms of ease of play. It might be a little easier, I think, but
Okay.
I think it has a lot of side by side kind of comparison to Pandemic. So yeah, it's really very very excited about
You know what? That's awesome. As you're talking about it, I can see your excitement, and that's what I love.
it.
That's what I love to see, and that's what I love to hear,
Thanks.
because you believe in this game, and so you're hoping that it'll get purchased and memories will be
Sure, yeah.
created, and that stand-up moment of excitement will happen, and you won't lose too many chickens drowning or whatever it is. But um, that's awesome. This time has flown by. We got just a few minutes left here, and so as we wrap all this up, if someone's hearing more about Animal Rescue Team or 23 Knives, where can they find out more information? What's your website? You share it, and I'll put it in the description of the video. But where can they find out more about these games?
Sure. Play2zgames.com, TO, not the number two.
Okay.
Play2zgames.com. Uh, I mean, hopefully through retailers and distributors, through conventions, we're going to hit, a lot of the conventions there. We'll be at Origins, we'll be at Dice Tower, Gen Con. We don't have a booth, but we have a group that's demonstrating our games.
Okay.
Um, uh, uh, you know, out there because they'll be doing 23 Knives, Animal Rescue, a couple others. We have one called Twisted Trumpet and stuff. But I would say, yeah, if you want the website and that, and then BGG,
Okay.
BoardGameGeek.com, we do put up pages for each of the games, and eventually you'll be able to download rule books from them as well as we get them ready. But I think the games that we already have out there, you can download all the rules to them: Ascending Empires, Better Letters, King's Coalition, Lynx, LYNX. I think these are all games that you can go on BGG and download them and hopefully find them of interest.
Right on. Got a nice size catalog, even in the infancy of this new publishing. Back to real quick, Animal Rescue Team. You said that 23 Knives was hopefully retail end of April ish, somewhere around there. When can someone, if they're like, hey man, I want this Animal Rescue Team, like that's like my jam. I'm a lover of animals. I love Pandemic. That's like two worlds. When's that? Is that like summer, like
Yeah,
Q4?
we're hoping for September
Okay.
release, and hopefully we'll have it for sale at Essen as well.
Okay.
But we're looking for a September release there. In between that, as you mentioned, we have 23 Knives, but in between we'll probably have a game called Twisted Trumpets. We have the new Tales of Arabian Nights, the 40th
Okay.
anniversary edition. So that's going to be out also probably July-ish or so, July, August. And then we're looking on to maybe get a small game out there called The Brain.
Okay.
Is another thing we're doing. But yeah, these are things that eventually just check back with the website. I manage the website myself. I mean, I do have help here and there, but it is very slow to update all that while I'm doing the other things. But
Right.
eventually, you get that information up there, especially as we get closer to publication.
Right on. Well, Zev, thanks so much for taking the time. Thanks for sharing kind of
Thank
your
you.
journey of obviously getting into games and how Pandemic kind of rocked your world and how you brought it forward to rock so many gamers' lives and whatnot. And it sounds like you have some really cool ideas
Thank you.
coming down the line. And so I'm excited. I will say this: I'm not the biggest fan of cooperative games. I do enjoy them, but it's not one that I'm going to jump to. But as you're talking about Animal Rescue Team, I kind of got that itch. Like I want to try this
Good.
game now, right? And so, good stuff. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Like I said, I'll post a link to Play to Z in the description of this video. And you know what? Ideas, I firmly believe that community is built on conversation, just like games are built on ideas, and that's why ideas exist. So until next time, my name is Brent. Grab your umbrella. The forecast is cloudy with a chance of meeples.